PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast, featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast here on the PLD Projects Network. I am your host, PLD. With me, as always, my good buddy, Matty Gunner. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, mate. Doing good. Life is peachy. Life is chaotic. Life is hectic, which is good because a few years ago I was bitching about being home doing nothing. Now I'm playing in two bands. Shout out to the guy who did our great theme song, David B. Disavowed. New music coming soon. When I get off my ass and finish the vocals. Sorry, David. New Mortar track coming out soon. Working on like a 9 Inch Nails kind of goth club baddie kind of project with a producer that I really respect, who is a pretty well-known podcaster in the video game space. Speaking of video games, we got a Star Wars Outlaws review coming up later this episode. So life is good, dude. I'm just keeping busy. Add to that and like real world shit.
What's that? I knew you were busy. I'm going to throw you under the bus here for a second. We text every day, we DM every day, whatever. We always talk every day. And we have our new schedule. We're recording this on a Wednesday, but you're seeing this on a Thursday because that's our new day. Because eventually we're going to actually record on a Thursday and get it out on Thursday. But for various scheduling reasons, my schedule is a mess. My kids went to college. My daughter's car died, so I'm shuffling cars around trying to get her places. I'm getting my son to places.
So your real world shit is actually far more important than my real world shit. Because my real world shit is just like, okay, remember to actually eat today. Remember to like go to bed at a reasonable hour and like get the 7 hours of sleep that I need.
Oh, 7 hours sounds glorious. I'm right. Work on 4.5, usually 4.5, 5. It's not even that bad. It's just very scheduling is just throwing me off a little bit. It's not a big deal, but either way, we had to record Wednesday, and also I realized we have to record next Wednesday anyway, so I should have just postponed the whole thing. But I'm going ahead with it as it is. But this week, all of a sudden, I was like talking to Matty. I said on DM, like, so can we record on Wednesday potentially instead because of this? And we're gonna do this, that, and other thing. Didn't get back to me. I'm like, oh, okay, well he's busy, whatever. Next day came along, like nothing. I'm like, this is very unlike him. I'm like, so I sent out the call. I sent out a text, a DM, a Twitter DM, like, are you okay? Everything good? Everything else fine? I was like, yeah, I could read it in your voice. I read it in your voice. Just, yeah, I'm all right.
Here's the thing. Tired. I responded to the messages when I saw your text message.
Is that what it was?
Because I was like, dude, you have my phone number.
But come on.
But I should say, PLD has a very good reason for this, because the last time I went AWOL and PLD was messaging me for days, I was going through a mental fucking breakdown. So PLD actually did have a very good cause for concern at this point, when this time I was just like, nah, dude, I'm just fucking busy.
And I saw that, I was like, okay, we're all good. I just want to make sure, I got to keep my homies in line, as it were. But we have a great episode today. I think we're going to have some beautiful sad moments, but also some interesting looks at things. Of course, we always talk about the news, and we did miss last week, but actually again, that scheduling thing came to bite us in the ass. And so we're gonna have a little bit of news, but unfortunately for us, as far as that goes, there wasn't a whole lot of news even in the 2 weeks combined. So we'll have a little bit of news. We are going to get into our Outlaws review, which was going to be our main topic today. Matty has been playing Outlaws for the past week or two since it came out.
Yeah, and I started streaming it, but then I was like, there are things about this game that I don't want to say in a public forum until the podcast. So
right,
I was like, okay, I'll play like the preliminary, like the prologue and learning how the game works on Twitch.
Right.
Then I'm gonna go like into the deep dive by myself. So
and we thought about restreaming it here on as a Holy Snokes episode, since we weren't going to be around. But I was like, it's already on Matty's Twitch channel. Go to Matty's Twitch channel, give him the support there. For sure. But then, of course, we had the sad news. I can't say tragedy. It's dude. It's a tragedy of sorts, but the guy, the legendary James Earl Jones passed away at the ripe old age of, was it 93? 93. And then that's why I say it's not a tragedy in terms of it's a long life, a lovely life to serve.
Hell of a life.
But it is definitely still a day of sadness. for anybody who's a fan of him, anyone who's a fan of Star Wars, but even beyond Star Wars, so many things that he's done, of course, in the course of his career, just in every way, shape, or form, a legend. The one thing that really got me. We're going to go into a bigger tribute toward the end. That'll be our main topic of discussion. But the one thing that got me was when somebody posted a picture of like the original trilogy, the big guys, and like they're all like in Force Ghost form now. The only ones we got left are
I saw that.
Harrison Ford, and Anthony Daniels, and like it's like, oh my god, man, I'm like, we're all getting old.
I know John Williams wasn't in the picture, but like fucking former press circle.
Absolutely at this point.
Williams.
But we'll get to that. At the end of the episode. We do our news first. First off, I want to do one thing. I want to shout out some people. Obviously, Star Wars fandom is at a weird spot right now. Not exactly the greatest spot. Definitely some division in the ranks, so to speak. And I don't want to get into the negativity. That's not something we try to do here on the podcast at all. We try to be positive side. We try to put the positive side in things. So what we're just going to do right for this moment, I want to shout out a few of our positive people that we like to recommend as part of our close-knit circle. They best represent, as far as I'm concerned, what is the best of Star Wars fandom and our little group of people. Specifically, I want to start off by shouting Star Wars Explained, Alex Damon, Molly Damon. Of course, I know them through the Schmodown. I worked in the movie trivia Schmodown for a bit. Got to interact with them there, and they are wonderful, beautiful people who have nothing but love in their hearts for Star Wars, nothing but love in their hearts for the Star Wars community. Very gracious, very generous with their time, and I really think that if you haven't followed them or haven't watched them, if you're watching us and you haven't watched them, I'd be surprised, to be honest with you. But if you have, I would definitely go over there, shout, because they deserve all the love. They work so hard. Alex Damon's canon videos his canon timeline videos every year.
Ridiculous.
Forward to them.
I've said to him, bro, why don't you just copy and paste and add the rest? But no, like, he goes in and does it all.
The whole thing, and it is a undertaking every year. It's a glorious time. Molly, sweetheart, in every possible word.
Listen, the things I could say about Molly, that aforementioned mental breakdown I had last year, Molly was one of the first people to reach out to me and say, "Are you okay?"
And that's what she does. She
says it all, right?
Absolutely. She's a very caring individual. So we wish them the best and wish them, hope they do everything they continue to do and do it at the top quality that they do it. So I definitely shout them out. They are not alone on the people we would shout out as people who'd like to represent. Matt, you had a few others.
Man. We got like the Jennifer and Joseph and Ken flying the flag for positivity on Force Center. Adam, Ryan, and Nick over on Thank the Maker. You know, I didn't know that emo and punk music and Star Wars could connect until I started talking to those boys, and like the amount of friendships and like kinship that is formed from that podcast. You know, you got Triad of the Force, Bogus Cantina, Arcto Radio, Imperial Senate podcast. Dude, there are Blue Bantha Milk. Like, there's so many like creative and positive people that shows like you can be in this space and not be a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Absolutely right there. We love all those people resistance broadcast, Scoundrels, Zankar, former namesake. We love them as well. A bunch of people out there that are definitely.
I was texting John Hoey about Metallica last week.
Absolutely. Good dude. Absolutely good dude. Drives people crazy, he says, and you know, I can see that too. But hey, we all do. No, we love everybody out there who is on the positive side of things. And I just want to. One last thing I'll say before we move on is that positivity has gotten to almost be this slightly negative word at times, which is kind of ironic. Being positive, spreading positivity doesn't mean we like everything. Doesn't mean we love everything that comes out. I think you'll find out that soon enough. It seems that is it's out there that when you're being positive on a Star Wars podcast, that you're shilling and you're loving everything, and that's not the case. But we tend to want to talk about things we are positive about, so we tend to go into things more positively. And if we don't like it, we tend just not to talk about it as much. But we will point out things that are actual criticism for the shows, for the movies, or the books, whatever we want to talk about. That's the difference, though. We can do it in a positive manner instead of being kind of downtrodden on it, shall we say, or other things that we don't even need to discuss. So That's it. Just want to shout out to those people we love, and
You're not edgy. You're not cool. And this is coming from someone from the counterculture, so I know what edgy and cool is. You're not edgy. You're not cool. You're not funny. And I'll see you in Tokyo.
You got to stop right there before
Yep.
anything else is said. You got to stop right there. Swallow our down, and we'll move on now. Okay, let's get into the news of the last couple of weeks. News. A couple little bits of news. First off, great. Speaking of positivity, out of tragedy, Ahoska did win an Emmy for Shauna Chipsick, a posthumous Emmy for the finale's costume design, and that's a wonder thing. I think that's a worthy entry into the saga, worthy entry, and a worthy Emmy win. And it's always great to see. Now it's an Emmy-winning Ahsoka TV series.
And talk about great people that are creative with Star Wars. Shauna, just a wonderful human being amongst. This is so rightly deserved.
Right. 100%. And I love the Ahsoka costumes. I think they're wonderful, especially on the galaxy far, far, far away, the other galaxy, as they were.
Anakin's Clone Wars costume?
Brought right back to life. Could have been right out of the anime. It almost looked like it was the animated thing itself. I love
that.
So
could have been like that could have gone so wrong. You know, we could have looked at that and been like, it looks like this looks like a cosplay.
Right.
But no, dude. We were fully in like the clone trooper armor, young Ahsoka.
Brought to life in every way, shape, or form. So congratulations to Shauna and her family, and as well as to the Ahsoka team in general. So that well-deserved win for sure, as I say.
Give us season 2, damn it.
Speaking of that, that's our next bit of news.
Oh, I've read this and I agree with our good friend PJ Campbell, which happens a lot because PJ knows what he's talking about.
Well, before you go into it, let me tell us what it is. It is Ahsoka season 2 is set to begin filming next summer, and this comes from Natasha Lee Bordeaux from DragonCon. She was on, and she was asked about what's happening with season 2. We haven't heard much from season 2. We knew it was greenlit, and all we had heard was Dave had begun writing it and had some ideas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here we are now, knowing it's going to film summer of 2025, which means the earliest it's going to come out to our screens is 2026, which means 3 years in between the first season and the second season.
Dude, you think 2026?
That's the earliest.
You think that's that? Dude, I'm thinking 2027.
It could be. I'm saying the absolute earliest would be 2026. It takes at least about a year.
Like your optimism. I really do like your optimism.
And well, one reason I have for that comes, and we'll try to get into all this, but there's a tangent around that, is that there is I don't know if it's a rumor report. Basically, Bob Iger has said, and Lucasfilm has said, that they'll be doing one TV show per year now for Star Wars. One per year, and that's it.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, honestly, because quite frankly, it means that they're not going to be spread too thin. Marvel had that problem for a while. We can concentrate on one show per year and get it out there, make it really up to quality. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, as much as we have to hate to wait. But you're also talking to a guy who, I remember back in the old days, I'm dating myself here, the original trilogy era, there was 3 years between movies, and that's all we ever had. So like something a year is still pretty good for me.
And then you had all that time when all you had were books and crappy Nintendo 64 games.
Right, absolutely. As much as I love the books, I'm still reading them. But I have to say, it makes sense in some ways, because we know what's coming out. We know that Skeleton Crew is coming out at the end of this year. We know that Andor is releasing in 2025. So I'm guessing that Andor is now the 2025 show, which means we don't have, so 2026 is the next slots. We don't have anything announced yet. The Ahsoka, being that Ahsoka is the only thing announced beyond that, that's why I would say summer 2026 or fall 2026 would be the right date. Probably fall, because we do have the Mandalorian Grogu movie coming in May of 2026. There is the Untitled movie that right now is still slotting in December of 2026. We haven't heard any change on that. It might change. We don't know. So fall of 2026 is when I would expect Ahsoka to drop.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any other thing there. And then whatever else is going on, that have you 2027, 2028, 2029. It is kind of limiting in terms of we had all these ideas and imagination, but like now if we have just one show per year, that kind of limits what we're doing a little bit. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it is limiting. Now, the other part of the equation is it does make a little bit of sense to me. Going on the positive side of things, we'll hit the negative soon. The positive side of things is obviously one of the major reasons it's not filming until that is because Mandalorian and Grogu are filming. Mandalorian and Grogu is filming now, and it'll be finished up by then, and that's when they'll move into Ahsoka. Because Dave Filoni is working hand in hand with Jon Favreau on Mandalorian and Grogu. Mm-hmm. So instead of having them try to film both things at the same time and spreading Dave thin and everything else, leaving quality on, I actually like the fact that we're having a focus on the movie, which they need to have be successful. I mean, positive as we are, Star Wars is definitely on, I don't want to say shaky ground like it's a negative thing, but it's definitely in a kind of place where they need a big movie to come back.
It's not do or die, but it's kind of like, come on, guys.
Let's get together. Let's get it going. Bob Iger wants a new movie. We haven't had a movie in the theaters since 2019. That's forever in this day and age. So getting them to concentrate on that, and then getting Dave Filoni to go, okay, now I can put all my energy into Ahsoka season 2. Quality-wise, I think that's the best way to do it. Now, is there the flip side? There sure is. 3 years between seasons.
When 900 years old you reach, you will finally see the Filoni Mandoverse movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It feels like that. I mean, hello, who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it's 2025 is or 2026 is Mando and Grogu. Fall 2026 is Ahsoka season 2. Maybe the next movie will be December of 2027. That'll be the Mandalorian movie with Dave Filoni. Who knows? Maybe that's the case. But it does throw into that place. We have to wait 3 years. A TV show loses momentum. And this is not just a Star Wars thing. This is actually a streaming thing in general. We're having more and more of these breaks in between. And there's more and more times where we're getting 8 episodes, 30 to 45 minutes, and then we're waiting 3 years for the next patch. I mean, it's one thing if it was more episodes or we could understand it.
Yeah,
there's a problem. I'm hoping.
inclined to agree with you, actually. Like, if they are going to make us wait that long, make it worth the wait. Like, no more. And I get that some people argue that, but you allow for advertisements. Guess what? These streaming services are now putting in advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no more of the excuse of, oh, this is the standard TV episode just without the adverts. Well, we're getting the adverts now. So,
right.
And that's on top of the subscription. So, like, I personally don't, but other people have got a subscription to Disney Plus that they pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are putting, the reason we pay for the premium stuff is so we don't have to have advertising.
Right.
Now they're putting it in there. So they are going to be making more money off of the ad revenue.
Right.
Make it worth a while. Make it worth our money.
Everything's getting more expensive, so I've actually not. I used to do all ad-free stuff. I even like when they had the option and stuff, I'd go ad-free. Even now, I'm like, it's too expensive. Disney Plus, I'm still staying ad-free because I don't want ads in my Star Wars stuff, to be honest with you. So I still go ad-free there. But I agree. I guess going back to the other part
of the story. You want ad-free? I got you.
I know I have ad-free. So I have ad-free still at this point.
After the show, I got you.
But maybe also that's another thing about the one show per year. Perhaps if we only have one show per year, we can get a 10 to 12 episode season and get a 45, 50 minute per episode kind of thing. That's what I'm kind of hoping for out of that. That's the positive spin I'm looking at. But man, 3 years is a long time. That's going to lose a lot of momentum for a show, which I think Ahsoka was overall positive. I enjoyed it. I know there's some people who didn't enjoy it as much, and it wasn't a rave success like say Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 were. I think it's more positive than that Yakalite was as far as reception goes, but it's kind of in the middle of that. So to have that kind of shakiness, and it has to have time to grow, it has to have time to find its footing and everything else. I think 3 years in between just kind of kills for casual people for sure. I mean, us diehards will know and we'll wait and we'll get there and we'll watch it. But the casuals who watched it in the first place, all of a sudden wait, what? Oh, that show that was out 3 years ago? Oh, is the second season now? Oh, okay, sure, maybe.
there are also exceptions to the rule, like that show Lucifer, which was off the air for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, while they were searching for a new buyer before Netflix bought it out.
Right.
I think that show was off the air for like 2 years, and then it came back and it started doing its biggest numbers ever. So there are cases where it does work the opposite way because there is that demand for it.
That's true. That's true. But there's also just as many stories like Invincible second season was a lot less viewership wise, lot less viewership wise, and
it shouldn't have been because it ruled.
I loved the second season, but that's what happens when you lose momentum, and that, like I said, it's not just a Star Wars thing; it's a streaming thing, really. Hopefully, they'll kind of figure out what they're doing as they move along, and we'll get a little bit better. But I also want to throw out there, this is also us. We all shouldn't be surprised at this because we all knew this was coming. And what I mean by that is that a couple of years ago, or time has been a construct. So if I'm saying a couple of years, maybe it's last year, I don't remember. Bob Iger made a comment that they were going to pull back from Marvel and Disney plus content. We were going to concentrate on quality over quantity, and then we're going to do all this stuff and make sure we are doing the right thing. And that was the announcement then. Now, we are only now, I made this point before, we are only now getting to that point where that new status quo is put into effect, because at the time of the announcement, there was already so many things that were already in the works, already started filming, already going. And so they had a lot of stuff in the pipelines. They weren't just going to cancel it out. So it kind of like, okay, they got it all out there. So it didn't seem like it was affected. Now at the end of that line, now we're going to take in that comment or in that demand or whatever. And that's why we're now going to say, okay, that's why we haven't heard any announcements yet. We knew we had Skeleton Crew was already worked. Acolyte was already almost done. Skeleton Crew was almost done. They pushed it back a year. Andor was already going to be done. And it's like, after that, well, let's just push it back. And now we can start slowing things down and get the quality over the quantity. So we're just now seeing the results of that. It's tough to swallow sometimes, but that's what it is. I think it's a good thing overall. I do think it's a good thing overall.
Yeah. Well, let's see them put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. And that's what it will come down to. Let's do the thing. And sometimes, I will say also, sometimes I'm not going to use the word oversaturation because I don't think it's oversaturated, but there's something to be said about absence can make the heart grow fonder, and we have time to grow into things. Like we had the Acolyte, it's gone, and also we have Skeleton Crew coming up in a few months now. We're kind of almost there.
Yeah, dude. A few months,
right? So it's different if like we can have like something drops, and then we kind of have a time away from Star Wars, and then we build back up to it. We have that excitement to build. That's always kind of a fun thing to do. So maybe that will be for the good as well, potentially. All I know is the Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo, I think you guys are going to have a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things to talk about.
I'm probably not going to remember a single damn word.
That's why you're not my man on the street anymore. I don't know. I have to find somebody else.
I am the Matt. If you want me to include Operation Find Kojima in the content, then fine, because that is my sole focus. That and the 1 kilogram cheese pizza from Japanese Domino's. Have you seen this?
I have, and I am jealous about that. I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
You were going to see it. I'm going to film it.
I know.
Me and our good friend Auden Diaz have already talked about this, that we're going to buy one, and we're going to film it.
Lucky SOBs for sure. I do want to throw out there the one other thing that's not really talked about in any of this is the animated stuff. We haven't had an animated announcement either, but I do think that animated is not going to be affected by this. I think
they're hiring more animators, right?
Right. Yeah. They hired more animators. I think you're going to see. I would be surprised if we get more animated now, because I think that Disney could use that's a cheaper production compared to some of the bigger stuff. They can use that to plug the gaps. Some hope. Actually, that'd be good for animated fans, I think. So I think you'll get a big announcement. I think we're going to get that next year. I think we're going to get more Lego. That's my thought. I honestly think we're going to get Andor early next season. I think Andor is going to come out before Celebration or right around the time of Celebration. And at Celebration, you'll get the announcement for the animated project. The animated project will come out in the fall or winter of 2025. That's my guess.
I think you're right about that. They might show the first episode of Andor at Celebration.
Or the finale, even, potentially. It could be either or. It could be either or.
I don't know, because Tokyo's 8 hours ahead of me.
Right.
So that's like, 100 hours ahead of you.
So I don't. I mean, it's interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. But I do think the animated side will get a little big announcement there. I think we're going to get our next animated series in the fall or winter of 2025. That's my guess. All right. Next bit of news. Let's move on. Unless you have anything else further to say on that.
Nope. It's
okay.
It's me.
This I'm going to call a little bit ridiculous, a little bit weird. But Disney is being sued over the likeness of Peter Cushing in Rogue One. To quote, the London-based film company Tyburn Film Productions is suing Disney for using Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One. As reported by The Telegraph, a film company claims that the VFX recreation violates a contract that was made between the company and Peter Cushing before he died over his likenesses. Even though a high court judge says he was far from persuaded that Tyburn Film Productions would win the case, the judge also said that it did need a full factual inquiry.
Wait. Hold on. Who are this company?
This company is a friend of Peter Cushing's who had Peter Cushing in a few films of theirs and horror films. And supposedly this friend and Peter Cushing worked out a deal back in the 80s before he died. Disney did pay the estate of Peter Cushing for the likeness.
That's my thing. You are a shit fucking friend. The family are cool with it. If anything, this just makes you look like a scumbag because you're trying to make money off your dead friend.
That's
so you are essentially doing what you are claiming Disney are doing.
And the question I have about that is, why now? Like, Rogue One came out 8 years ago.
There is a big Rogue One re-released in the major cinema chains going on right now over here. So maybe it's that.
Maybe.
Because I still feel like if you're gonna see it on Sunday, but I don't know if I can do. But they've just re-released Rogue One in cinemas over here. So I don't know if it's to do with that.
Maybe, but like to me, I'm kind of like, still, if this was going to happen, I would have done it way back when it first came out.
Maybe because the estate already signed off on it. If he'd have gone through with it, then it would have been like, well, the estate said they're fine with it. So,
well, the funny thing is, I think that Peter Cushing, even if this deal, I mean, they're saying they have a contract between Peter and his friend, and Peter wanted this to happen, supposedly. Now, if that's true, it's got to be a strange thing because back in the day when this deal was struck, there was none of this technology even close to being like available. So I believe the likenesses probably would have been for something else. Maybe previous footage. I don't know. It just seems like this deal was made well before, well outdated before this could be determined. So I think this is going to end up being tossed out.
This is as someone who had studied law, this is getting thrown. I'm not a lawyer by any means. I flunked out of the second year, but I can tell you this is just going to get fucking thrown right out because the estate have already said, yeah, no, we're cool with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I understand the judge saying this because if there was a contract involved, the judge says, okay, let's hear it out in court and figure it out. And I would be shocked. I mean, Disney only paid Peter Cushing $28,000 is what I heard.
That's which is lot. Did you know Sean William Scott only got paid $30,000 to play Stifler in American Pie?
I did not know that.
I found this out the other day.
$30,000 when you have nothing to stand on. That's kind of what happens, I guess.
And then the next movie was Bulletproof Monk.
How about 2 and 3 though? You probably got a lot more for 2 and 3.
Probably they get a lot more. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he got a lot more.
Unless he was signed with some kind of deal, something about like a 3 film. But he was signed a 3-film deal for American Pie. But let me just say, I wouldn't be surprised. Also, maybe Disney might wipe this, push this under the rug, and just offer them because if they give them 28, that's pittance to them. All right, here, shut up. Take your 30.
Does it say how much they're suing him for?
Doesn't say.
Just pay him $28,000 and tell him to fuck off.
And I say, well, this is what we paid them, and this is the contract we'll pay him, and so.
What a scummy thing, dude!
It feels very scummy.
The estate, his family have said that they're okay with it. His family have said, yeah, we want his legacy to live on.
Yeah,
as this character in these movies, and then you're coming up saying, nope, we had a contract back in the 80s before this technology even existed. Dude, fuck off. You're just trying to. Your movie company's probably, your production company's probably failing, and you're scratching and clawing out a lot.
I absolutely agree. I think the other interesting angle that I'll end on this is that it'd be interesting to see if it has any effect or what its effect has on, like, SAG after doing all this contract work with AI and with recreation and what it means and what doesn't mean. Does this have any effect on that as far as it goes? I don't know what to say.
I'll tell you what, PLD, if I ever die, you have my permission to use my likeness for this show, and I will go one above. You can Weekend at Bernie's me in this chair.
Will do.
Me up, stuff me like taxidermy style.
I love it.
You can use my likeness for.
Note this down, folks. Note this date down. This episode down. I got the verbal contract right there. So. All right, last bit of news we're going to talk about. Actually, we'll segue into our first main topic. Outlaws was released. We know this now. Obviously, Matt has been playing it, and it's gotten okay reviews so far. I would say okay. They're not necessarily bad. I'm seeing a lot of scores in the 6.5, 7 out of 10. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of people, specifically. But there have been some also criticisms, which it seem like they're valid criticisms to me. Again, I haven't played it, so I don't know. Matty will tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Pointing out specifically more or less some of the gameplay, some of the mission strengths, specifically wrapped around the stealth mission variety. I've heard pretty good things about the story, which is pretty good, like, as far as story mode goes. Did you get to finish the game yet, or no? You have not finished it.
I have finished the story. I have yet to go and do any of. I pretty much just bum rushed the story so far.
I will say there's some quotes from the directors I do want to read. To kind of put them into perspective rather. Garrick G, who is one of the Garrick G is one of the creators. He said he addressed some of the criticism and stated. Including the game sometimes punishing stealth sections. He states his team is continuously looking at data for areas where the game needs to be tweaked. One of the things we can see through data is the elements aren't working as well as we would like them to. One of the earliest missions in Mirogana is incredibly punishing, and for me, that is a mistake and something that we're going to work on improving. The faction district that you're going through in that mission, there is this sort of tension that we want to create, but we don't want it to feel unfair. And today, I think it feels unfair. And believe it or not, that was not our intention. This realization is something that crept in the last week or so, and it's something that we're correcting already for a patch that's coming out maybe in the next 10 days. Game director Matthias Carlson chimed in, discussed why stealth was implemented in the first place, and he also said team is considering making changes to these systems. We believe that giving players the opportunity to have stealth approach fits the scoundrel fantasy really well. And I think if stealth wasn't a part of the experience at all, it would be a very one-note game overall. It affords us a lot of width and variety in our context of our quests. The don't raise the alarm quest, specifically what we're reaching for there, isn't fail on detection. It's implemented in places like the Imperial space stations where you wouldn't want the whole station to be on alert. So I think that's an intuitive fail state. We really try to create that fun suspense zone where it could tip all the way into failure, where you have many ways of dealing with the situation. However, if that turns out not to connect with its current tuning with enough people, then that's something we take very seriously. So we'll consider changing it. It feels like they had the idea, and I'll let you talk in a moment because you're going to get into the whole thing.
Yeah, go for it.
It feels like they're getting into the idea. They had these ideas that they wanted to play story-wise. They said story-wise, this fits. We really wanted to do that way, but yet the mechanics for it make the game unfun because of that. And if that's the case, then they have to tweak it. But I can't criticize them for wanting to go story first at this point for that kind of thing, making sure the story feels like you are a scoundrel in this world. You want to stealthily do this stuff, and I'm glad that they're saying that they're noticing it and that they're responding to criticisms and trying to fix things in a way. I know that's new. I think that's kind of par for the course of the gaming world. There's a lot of patches nowadays that happens. I mean, to me, I kind of think, well, shouldn't this have been worked out in beta? Shouldn't they have tried this? And
someone put up a tweet the other day, and I'm not normally this cynical, but I actually agreed. A Ubisoft exec put out a post saying people should finish the story before they comment on the game. And then someone else replied, maybe you should finish the game before you release it. Bravo.
Well, with that being said, Matty, why don't you go drop into it? Matty's going to give his full review of the story mission or the story mode and the gameplay and everything else. Matty played Star Wars Outlaws. Talk to us, Matty.
What do you want first? Do you want the technical shit first to get that out the way and then we talk about the story? Or
yeah, let's start with technical stuff first.
Okay. First off, rant. AAA titles. It's exactly the same. The gaming industry right now is exactly the same as the streaming industry, as now it is becoming gaming as a service. We see now with the new PlayStation Pro, you have to pay $80 extra to get a disc drive. Why do they do this? They are trying to push you onto digital. In the T&Cs of a digital game, it says they can pull it at any time should they want to, and you do not own that game.
Oof. Oof.
This is becoming common practice. So now they can put out these games with day one patches, and I put out a tweet which actually got quite a lot of blowback because I said, wow, they're selling pre-play access before they have to put in the day one patch. Business-wise, very clever.
Right.
Ethics-wise, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Because so many people were playing that game and they were critiquing it and giving it all these really bad reviews, saying how the gameplay was awful. And I was just like, well, yeah, because you guys should know this. And this is where I come into like journalism as overall and people like pushing these narratives. Like you are doing a terrible journalistic job by pushing these narratives because you know better. You know there's going to be a day one patch because it's a AAA title. There is always a day one patch. Did we learn nothing from Cyberpunk? How many years did it take for that game to become fucking playable? Forever. To the point it still crashes when I play it now. But I think it was due a lot of I think it was dealt a lot of unfair criticism at the start. Just because again the day one patch hadn't come out yet. But that is also very scummy of Ubisoft. There used to be a time when having the Ubisoft sticker on a game was like a sign of quality.
Yeah.
Hasn't been that way for a while. Last few Assassin's Creed games, not great. But yeah, I think it was dealt a lot of undue criticism at the start. So I purposefully waited until the day one patch to play it.
Right.
I'm going to split this up into technical, gameplay, and story. I'm going to start with my dislikes, and then I'm going to move on to my likes, because I would like to end things on a positive note.
Okay.
So let's start with the technical. Widescreen. This is a super nitpick. Stop defaulting games to widescreen. Not everyone has a widescreen TV. It's annoying as hell having to go into the settings, because they don't even give you at the start. Normally you would have, when you play a game, you'd have a shrink this screen in, do this brightness to see this logo. Get that. You don't get that with Outlaws. You are literally thrown right into a cutscene before you even get to the main menu.
Okay.
And as soon as you start playing, boom, widescreen. So you're like, whoa, okay. And like, I don't have a very big widescreen monitor. Like, I don't have a big gaming 4K monitor. So for me, I was like, whoa, okay. Let me go in and actually like narrow this back down.
Right.
The enemy AI, which is going to come up again later, super clumsy. Very clumsy. If I run around an enemy, I expect them to follow with me. I expect them to turn with me as I run around them. Right. Not just snap to where I'm standing and make it look super buggy and super glitchy. That is a quality of life thing that should be ironed out before the game is even done. Those were my technical nitpicks.
Okay.
Because then we get into the actual environment of the game. The Snowdrop engine is possibly the greatest thing that they have ever come up with. It is beautiful. My biggest issue with open world games like Skyrim and Fallout and Ghost of Tsushima, actually not less so with Ghost of Tsushima because I really love that game. They don't really feel, you play a game like Skyrim or Fallout, it doesn't feel really well lived in.
Okay.
Outlaws does a really great job of making it feel lived in. Like the amount of creatures, the amount of plant life, down to the very, like the weather sim and tiny little things. Like if someone rides past on a speeder, you can see like the specks of dust get kicked up from the speeder. And
Cool.
I was like, that looks so cool. The use of ray tracing, which is really well done for anyone who's a non-gamer. Ray tracing is used for things like illumination. So it's what causes, like, if you look into a body of water and you can see the reflections, light is very much to do with the lighting and the light bouncing off of like neon signs, bouncing off the wall, creating shadows and how the shadows form. That was so well done. So where I was like, damn, okay. In the tighter, like the more confined spaces, the visuals did tend to suffer a bit. But when you get to like the broad, like the outside of everything, like the Sons of Tatooine and everything, visuals were beautiful, stunning. And I tested it in multiple modes. I tested it in the performance mode, the 30 FPS, 60 FPS. Like there was barely any frame rate drop that I noticed between the modes. So yeah, visuals stunning, absolutely stunning. So there wasn't too much technically that I didn't like, other than the enemy AI, the widescreen. The more issues I had was more with the gameplay. So I guess I can kind of move into that now.
Yeah.
The secondary weapon system. If I pick up a gun, if I knock someone out and I pick up a gun, I should be able to hold on to that gun, right?
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
For example, there was one moment when I had a sniper rifle.
Okay.
Now, if I'm a sniper, where do you think I want to go? High ground, right?
High ground, right.
As soon as I try climbing up the cliff, I drop the rifle.
Oh.
As soon as I try getting on my speeder, drop the rifle.
That doesn't make any sense.
Now, there are some instances where I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm not going to be able to jump across a gap while holding onto a Gatling gun. That makes perfect sense.
Right, of course.
What I don't get is, like, if your weapon is based on a cooldown system, like the Battlefront games, which I thought was really well done, because then you're not relying on getting ammo packs and everything. Your gun heats up and then it goes down on a meter and you have to hit R1 right in the middle for it to reload.
Right.
Why does your gun do that? But if I pick up a better gun, that I'm like, oh, I'm going to start doing some damage with this shit. As soon as it runs out of ammo, I drop it. So there's a theme that's going to come up with a lot of inconsistencies that I found with this game. And I should note, I play a lot of video games, guys. Like I play a lot of video games. So if you're this is coming from someone who is more of a hardcore gamer than PLD is. So
definitely.
The criticisms I'm giving are from that of a hardcore gamer and not to put you off getting the game. I am not here to put you off getting the game, playing the game. There are some really good, like the high highs and the low lows.
So what you're saying is that, like, I would be just fine with probably all this stuff because I don't play games.
I think you'd love it.
Knights of the Republic. Like the last game I really played.
Yeah, I personally, PLD, I think you would genuinely love it because it is really immersive into, and this is another thing that when I get into my likes, it is so immersive into being a scoundrel, and you develop your skill set along with K. And it's just like, that is great. Like, you have different experts that you learn different skills from. Shout out to Tika the Jowl, who makes an appearance. Fuck yes.
I saw that. Actually,
I was so happy. But I found a lot of the combat to be and the interactions to be very repetitive. Mm-hmm. It took a little bit of getting warmed up to. There were explosive barrels in damn near every confrontation. Okay. And for someone like me who I just want to like quickly get through stealth, if you want to just like bum rush and go in, Danny DeVito, and I just started blasting, you just want to shoot a bin, like an explosive barrel, and kill a couple stormtroopers. To me, that's not very stealthy for a game that's like preaching stealth.
Right.
I'm like, that's not very stealthy, but okay.
Okay.
A lot of crawling around in vents. I thought that was very, very overdone. I would have liked to have used more of the environment, more of like shadows, different like ways to blend in with the environment. Again, I know I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan. I'm asking a lot of a Star Wars game that's not for hardcore gamers. I get that. This is my opinion. There were just a lot of very repetitive actions. Like, if I can open a door, just a normal standard door, why would I ask Nix to do it?
Good question.
There are people that love Nyx. I love Nyx. Nyx is a great character. Very cute. People are going to move on from Nubs onto Nyx now.
Is that it? Nyx is the new thing?
Yeah. But being able to have having Nyx open like steal things from people, like pickpocket people and like come and give you the items. I think that's really cool. Stuff like that's really cool. But like if I just walk up to a door and hit R3, why can I also hit L1 and have Nyx open the same door? Like to me, that's just like you've put too much work into this thing when there's other stuff that you should have been sorting out.
My initial thought, when you're saying this, my initial thought was kind of like, well, why not, right? If they want to do it, but if you're lacking in other areas, then that makes sense. Like, why would you bother doing it then?
Yeah, I think they definitely just wanted to like hammer in that, like, yeah, you can use Nyx, like you can use Nyx.
That's one I heard you use Nyx a lot. That's what I've heard. So
I did use Nyx quite a lot. Now we're gonna get on to the big one.
Okay.
And this is something that's been brought up in the news actually. The stealth.
Yeah, let's hear. That's like I've heard a little bit about this.
I don't understand people's criticisms.
Really?
Far too fucking easy.
Really?
Far too easy. Far too inconsistent. Now, I know people will hear this and say, you're a Metal Gear Solid fan. This is easy for you. You fucking sped run Metal Gear Solid 2 a bajillion of times. But if I lure someone into a spot for a stealth kill or like a takedown, I should not then be able to lure another guard to that same spot with their friend's legs hanging out of the grass without them going, huh? Or getting like some kind of a warning.
Right.
I can knock out like 3 or 4 people in the same batch of grass. Yet if I go into a room where there is one guy, and by the way, when I do this, I don't get the alarm state at all. Wow. Not one time.
Wow.
But if I go into a room with one guard in it, and there's another guard either in another room or around the corner, I take the guard down, no one sees, the alarm status stays on, I walk into the next room and I'm getting shot at. Can stormtroopers see through walls now? Like, I don't get why people are saying that. I get why some people think that the stealth might be a bit harder because like I know Alex Damon isn't really a big like stealth player. Like he wants to like go. He's very much like Cal Kestis. Like he wants to run in, lightsaber wielding,
guns blazing, right?
Yeah, guns are blazing, Danny DeVito style. I just started blasting. But me, I want to play the Solid Snake thing. I'm like watching the guards rotation. I'm like watching the rotation patterns. I'm like, okay, I can move to here, then here, then here, then. I'm like watching it like fucking Matrix code in front of my eyes. It was just so inconsistent that it was just really pissed me off. So I don't think it's the difficulty of the stealth that's the problem. I think it's the inconsistency of it that's the problem. Of people are getting caught, and I've watched gameplay videos to make sure this isn't just me. People are getting caught in ways that I'm just like, how?
Right.
How is this possible? And for the mission that they refer to where you sneak into the Imperial base and they're like, oh, we're just suggesting that you don't raise the alarm. If I was a scoundrel and I went into an Imperial base and I raised an alarm in an Imperial hangar full of stormtroopers, I ain't getting out of there alive.
Right. No doubt.
So that should be like, you got caught, back to the checkpoint, try again.
Yeah. Fair point there for sure.
If it was Han Solo or Lando Calrissian, maybe they might be able to like smooth talk their way out of there. But at this point, Kay is very green. Like they don't know who she is. So it's just like, why would they care? Oh, there's someone sneaking in here. Blast her.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the likes.
Give me some positive now. Give me some positives.
Sabak. Addictive as hell.
I'm sure it is. It is, man.
Oh my god! So a lot of people seem to be liking the betting on the Fadia racing, which you can get like you can. One thing I do love is like the interactions of like you're in a bar and you can like hear tips from like the Fadia racing or like a job that's going on. I think that's really cool that they would do that. It's not like you have to like walk past and hit like R3 to talk to them. It's just like a dialogue it's like an in-game dialogue that you walk past, and the person's just like, oh yeah, bet on the heavier Fabia is going to win the next race. And you're like, hell yeah. And I went and bet on that Fabia. Didn't win the race. Didn't win the race. I was out like 100 credits on that Fabia. Didn't win.
Oh man. Gambling problems, man. Gambling problems for sure. Come on.
But Sabak, oh my god, dude. They could make just a separate game of the Sabak mini game. I'd be playing it for hours. It's so good.
It's one reason I don't think I'll ever play these games, because I would get addicted and it would be not good. Dude. I don't have time.
You would get so addicted to Sabak. Faction consequences. This was a big one when we talked a little bit about this when we were kind of previewing the game. And I was kind of like, I don't know if it's going to have like massive consequences on the story. Did kind of, not a lot, not as much as I would have liked, but the in-game consequences I thought were really cool. Say, like I did, I aligned myself with Lady Kira, because obviously we simp for Lady Kira on this show.
100%.
I could not go to like a parts shop or walk into the Pike territory. I had to like sneak in, or I had to rebuild my relationship with the Pikes or the Ahoska clan. Who, by the way, Ahoska clan, great, awesome. They're so weird. I love them.
They're specifically for the game?
They are. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think I'd do them very much for anything else. Okay, good.
I really like that, because if I'm known to be like an ally of Crimson Dawn, of course, if I walk into a Pike like parts dealership, they're gonna be like, "No, you stole from us. Fuck off." I thought like the in-game consequences I thought were really cool, because I would have to. They would say you need to go steal something from faction B. You would have to work out a way through to get into that area, and it wouldn't be the same every time. So I would try and sneak in through a vent. The next time I go there would be like a guard standing by that vent because they heard someone broke in that way. I was like, that's cool. That is awesome. So there's a lot of little things that they put in. A lot of little things I thought, yeah, that's cool. Like the speeders, I thought was cool. Petting the animals, oh my god. I had so much fun just petting animals.
Nice.
Can't pet everything. I found out the hard way. Can't pet a rancor.
Don't want to pet that dog.
Nope. Don't pet that. Don't try to pet that dog.
Don't pet that dog.
Yeah, after when I got around to the combat, when I kind of put it out of my mind of like, okay, it's going to be very repetitive, just get it done. It kind of got a little, it got fun. It got fun as it went on. I think it was that like initial, as you're developing the skill set, that I was just kind of like, oh, this is a dredge. This is a drag.
Right.
But once you got there, you're like, oh God, here we go.
Right.
This is fun.
Good.
The space battles I thought were a lot of fun. Very Battlefront. I was kind of expecting to be a little bit more squadrons like, but they were very Battlefront 2, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, that was my overall thoughts on the gameplay. So we'll talk about the story. And a lot of people are going to be pissed off with what I'm about to say, because this is my only dislike about the story, really. Do you care for a spoiler?
Go ahead. Well, we'll say spoiler, just so very.
Spoiler alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vader. Don't need him.
Okay. I did actually hear that from some. I think I heard that from Alex, but I think I really want to say
don't need Vader.
Okay.
You can sell. I get you need to sell the game to a more casual audience, but he shows up at the bare minimum, and I get that's what you kind of want to do with Vader. But having Vader showing up just to look big and scary did nothing for me. Like, I know Vader's big and scary.
Right.
You've got another incompetent Imperial, and Vader just shows up to check in. Okay. I've seen that a million times.
Right.
But again, I thought it was a little bit of a waste. I personally think you didn't even need him. You could have put in Tarkin. Tarkin would have been cool. Or Krennic.
Doesn't take place between Empire and Return.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's right. So Tarkin, yeah. Who else could you put in?
One of the admirals, maybe Piet.
Thrawn.
Thrawn. Thrawn's missing at this point still, too, right? Yeah, Thrawn's missing until
Is he?
After, yeah, he's still in Ahsoka. He's still in the galaxy far,
Oh
far,
yeah,
far
that's
away.
right. Who is around? Viz.
Yeah, the Veers might be Veers. Piet
Viz.
definitely, but
Should put Viz in. Shit, I would have settled for Palpatine.
really, well, that's even more intensity.
But like, how often does he show up?
Yeah,
Vader shows up in everything. Rebels.
He's the face. He's the face.
Yeah, we get that, and like we're gonna obviously talk about it. So I'm not meaning to disrespect the character of Vader, but I was just like, when that story point hit, I was like, okay, like I got nothing from it.
Right.
But I really like this story. I really do. The fact that you get to grow with Kay Vess, like when she comes in, she doesn't know. She knows the bare minimum about the underworld. She's not an experienced thief. She's not like she was trained by her mother, and she's not Han Solo. She's not Lando. She's essentially a kid, like trying to find her way.
Right.
And you're so immersed with the story and the gameplay that you grow along with her. And I really, really like that because you also grow the relationships, especially with BD5. You know I'm a droids guy.
Yeah, I do know that.
I love BD because he starts out, he's like the grouchy, like, I'm only here just because I have to be, whatever.
He does that type.
There's a story beat where you have to, again, spoiler 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to go and rescue Nix from the huts.
Okay.
And BD5 is essentially telling you, don't do it. Because his previous owner cast him to the side. He was like, look, just finish the mission. Don't worry about the rat. Like, you can do this without him. And she's like, no, I'm gonna go and save him, and you're gonna help me. And that's when the story kicked in for BD. I think the story of BD is so great in this because he then starts to warm to Kay, and he's like, oh, you're not like everyone else that I've ever been around with. And like then he gets a restraining bolt put on him, and he has to turn against Kay.
Ooh.
And there's like a Terminator scene at the end when he's like shooting at her, and you got to like run away from him.
Right.
But he's also saying, run, Kay. Get away from me. He's not like he's trying to fight the restraining bolt. He's trying to fight it. But he's just like I can't control this. Like I have to try and kill you, but I don't want to. Right. So he's gone from a grouchy figure of like, oh, I don't want to fucking be, to like he actually cares.
Right.
I thought that was really beautiful. There's a twist about family members where I'm like, okay, that's Star Wars. There is going to be a twist that someone is related to someone.
Right.
But it's a lot of also like growing found family and finding your place in the galaxy as well, which is really big. So I would say my favorite part of this game is the story.
Good.
It's definitely the story. I had numerous issues with the gameplay, but again, hardcore gamer, and again, I did play it quite early because they're still patching it now. So,
all right,
yeah.
Tell me you're at least going to get the downloadable pack when they have the Hondo mission.
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, all right, fair. I would disown you from the podcast if you didn't. That'd be very.
No. The watch will end. The watch will end.
I should know that one. Fair
Do you have any questions for me?
No, you set up. You answer all my questions pretty much. I'm more interested in the storyline anyway. As long as the gameplay is, as far as games go, the gameplay is good enough. Yeah, that's what I'll probably end up doing. I'll probably watch cutscenes. I mean, who knows? I have a Switch. I don't even have a PlayStation or anything like that, so I don't even know what to play this anyway.
You're not going to spend $700 on the PS5 Pro?
F no.
And another $80 for the disc drive?
No, I'm probably getting a Switch 2 when that gets announced because my son loves Mario and Zelda, anything, anyways. So I'll probably go in that route anyway. Unfortunately, oh no, it's still fortunate actually. I like those games, but like, I'm not going to spend for that. Unfortunately, if it comes out on the Mac or the PC, maybe I'll do it that way. But otherwise, I don't see it happening.
I think it will. I think it'll come out on the PC. It seems to be the thing that games are doing these days. Of like they'll put out a console exclusive, then like 6 months to a year they'll push it to other things so they can.
So that's what I like the gameplay. If the story is good, that's a game. That's something I want to play. And that's why Knights of the Old Republic. I don't care about the mechanics of it. I like the game, the story. That's what I like about it. So, I guess it feels like it's a similar thing. I would love to play a K as like you said. I like the idea of like you beginning like a scoundrel. You're not quite there yet, but you kind of get there by the end, maybe potentially. An immersive world. So. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So I appreciate the review, man. Thanks so much. And I hope
we're good.
from you.
I hope I didn't come off as like too negative, but
no.
Hey, man,
I got on a scale of 1 to 11.
I give it 7.5.
Okay, that's it. That's
7.5.
Right.
Again, it's early days. They're still patching it. They're still adding content. The Hondo DLC is probably gonna blow my damn mind.
That boosts up at least 10 points because that's Hondo. So. All right, let's get to our main topic today. We lost a living legend, lost an icon. James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93. Died in his home in Dutchess County, New York. And the tributes were already coming in. I want to read you some of the tributes that were out there because that's a good thing. Then we can talk about our own personal experiences for sure. Got Mark Hamill coming out saying, one of the world's finest actors whose contributions to Star Wars were immeasurable. He'll be greatly missed. R.I.P. Dad, as only Mark Hamill can do. Bob Iger stated, from the gentle wisdom of Mufasa to the menacing threat of Darth Vader, James Earl Jones gave voice to some of the greatest characters in cinema history. A celebrated stage actor with nearly 200 film and television credits to his name, the stories he brought to life with a uniquely commanding presence and a true richness of spirit have left an indelible mark on generations of audiences. On behalf of all of us at Disney, we extend our deepest condolences to his family and loved ones. And final last one I will read is from the maker himself, George Lucas. James was an incredible actor, a most unique voice, both in art and spirit. For nearly half a century, he was Darth Vader. The secret to it all is he was a beautiful human being. He gave depth, sincerity, and meaning to all his roles, amongst the most important being a devoted husband to the late Cece and dad to Flynn. James will be missed by so many of us, friends and fans alike. Now let's talk about what he has meant to us. And Matty, I'm gonna let you start off. What your thoughts
real
were.
Quick before I do, did you see what Denzel said about him?
Yes, I did. Yes, beautiful.
James Earl Jones was his idol, and he wanted to be him.
Yes,
you got an actor the caliber of Denzel Washington saying that. Like,
I told you something right there.
Grace, he has such a warmth to him that it's so fitting that he played the two best cinematic dads in Mufasa and Darth Vader, who is also the greatest cinematic villain of all time.
Yes.
But there was just like such a warmth to him. You would like see him in interviews and stuff, and he just seemed like a really kind man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I would want to just like walk up and give him a hug.
Right. Absolutely.
But there was a quote from The Lion King that I will always remember. It was something that like I went back and I watched it with my niece when she was really young, and I was kind of like, I didn't pick up on like watching The Lion King. I didn't pick up on like the wisdom that's in there, like about the circle of life and stuff. But there was the one quote. It was like, believe in yourself, and the day will come when others will have no choice but to believe in you. And I was just like,
damn.
And it's just like, you have these people, like, let's remember these are people at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But that man wasn't human. there was like an aura around him. I don't want to use the word grandiose because I feel like everyone's going to use the word grandiose, but there was just like a presence about him that, like, if you saw him in person, you'd be like, even if you didn't know who he was, you'd be like, right, that guy's important. I don't know why, but he is special for some reason.
Yeah. He gave off that vibe for sure. And I will say I never got the chance to meet him, but my own personal experience I did want to bring up is that I did get to see him. I went to Drew University and for college, and way back in the Stone Ages now. 1998 was when I graduated. My commencement speech here, James Earl Jones.
Damn, dude.
And so I got to listen to him speak for a good 45 minutes, I believe. It was a good long speech, and it was so inspiring. He talked about his beginnings, his humble beginnings, born in Mississippi back in 1931, and he had to stutter his childhood. The man who's known for speaking
Yeah.
had a stutter growing up, and he said poetry and acting really helped him overcome that stutter. And he went on to doing so many great performances. I mean, I could list off part of them, and I'm barely I'm really scratching the surface. You got Star Wars, Lion King, Conan the Barbarian, Coming to America, Field of Dreams, the Hunt for Red October, the Jack Ryan stuff he did, Sandlot. I mean, there's so many different things he did, and that's only on screen. Like, he did a lot of stage work and a lot of obviously voiceovers, and it's amazing when you think about his voice, how different Star Wars would have been without it, as far as that goes. I mean, like, I always, we talk about John Williams. Yeah, that's all he's thrown out there. Like, without the music, Star Wars is nothing in a way. Without James Earl Jones' voice, it does not reach the people it has. Darth Vader would not be as iconic. I guarantee you that he would not be as iconic, especially if he had, like, no offense to David Prowse, but if it had David Prowse's voice, it would not have reached the same way at all.
No, someone actually put that episode of that on Instagram the other day of, like, how different it'd be with David Prowse's voice.
Right.
Because it was David. They were filming it was David Prowse, like speaking.
Right.
Another one that I don't know if you remember.
Okay.
Did you ever see the original Judge Dredd film?
Yes, of course.
He's the narrator of that.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
I had no idea until, like, last year when I was watching it again. I was listening back to it. I was like, is that fucking James Earl Jones?
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing how much his voice makes Darth Vader. And there's nothing against the physical actors. You have Bob Anderson as well, of course, David Prowse, but that voice just became iconic. It's funny, it became iconic for evil, considering what a sweet man he was. I always go back to favorite things he ever did was the Big Bang Theory episode.
Oh God, yeah, where they play what do people call it now?
Ding Dong Ditch, whatever.
Ding Dong
with
Ditch,
Carrie Fisher.
With Carrie Fisher.
And it went,
so fucking funny.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't love Big Bang Theory because it punches down on nerd culture or whatever. I get it, whatever. I mean, but that specifically, Sheldon, like, I remember Sheldon goes up. Obviously, if you don't know the show, Sheldon's a very, very awkward autistic person. And he comes up and he starts. James Earl Jones has this great moment where he's like, "I bet you like Star Wars," and Sheldon's just like, "Yeah," and he's like, and he has his line after. He's like, "I've done other movies, you know. Yeah, but you don't care about those, do you?" And Sheldon's like, "No." And he goes, "I only have one thing to say to you. I like Star Wars too." He becomes like this goofy old man, like this like recreation of himself. And then when he goes to Ding Dong Ditch with Carrie Fisher, and I guess that's the first time they actually met together, because James Earl Jones obviously did his voiceover. The first time James Earl Jones and Carrie Fisher met was on the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, got to meet in person. And according to the Big Bang Theory producer, Carrie Fisher just ran up to him and went, "Dad!" That's only Carrie Fisher would do. Like, great Carrie Fisher, of course. One of my favorite bits from James Earl Jones, and such a silly moment, but it's the fact that he can do that. There's so many things about him, so many different performances he's done. I want to bring up, I remember he's the only person I've ever known. He got to speak the national anthem at one of the baseball all-star games back in like 1993, I want to say. Like, they had some of that chorus, they kind of sang a little humming behind him. He just spoke the words. That's how impressive his voice is, and it was powerful. "See, can you see?" It's like, oh my
I feel
God.
like only him and Morgan Freeman could get away with that.
Absolutely, maybe. And Morgan would even be a tough one, I think. I'd be honest with you, comparatively. But I don't disagree. The voice for CNN for years. This is CNN.
Didn't he do Sports Center as well for a little bit?
I think he might have done that. I don't remember that for sure. It might have been a crossover for that, potentially.
I think he did.
But another one of my favorite bits, and I want to throw it out there, and I'll let you have some favorite bits if you want. Ever see the David Letterman sketch he did?
No.
It was a top 10 things that sound cool when James Earl Jones says them.
Oh, yeah. I did see this. Yeah, I did see this.
That's one of my favorite Letterman sketches of all time.
J-Lo in the house.
In the house. And that's what I love about him, because he was so humble. So he would take the piss out of himself, no problem. But he was also like such a great dramatic actor. I mean, he had Academy Award nomination.
Field of Dreams.
Great. Field of Dreams. He is the heart of that movie. He is the heart of that movie. It's so powerful. A great white hope. He was in the Film Academy, got the Academy Award nomination for that. Oh man.
And then you got a freaking Clear and Present Danger.
Yes.
We played what's the Admiral's name? Admiral Greer.
Admiral Greer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Through Alec and Harrison Ford's versions of him at that point.
I think didn't he do a he did the voice of someone on Sesame Street, if I remember correctly. It wasn't him, but he did a voice. It was like another uncredited thing. He has so many things that he was like just did. And I guess that must be like a voice actor's thing, because I know Sam Witwer does it a lot, where you just do it and they're just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about the credits, just like put me in there.
Absolutely. I remember one of his voiceover things he did. He actually voiced Maggie Simpson for an episode of The Simpsons once. So it was a joke.
Oh shit! I did not know that.
What a funny thing that is. Absolutely.
But then, like, you speak to like the silliness of the man.
Right.
You've only got to go watch Coming to America.
Joppy. So good.
So someone put up a thing on Instagram that was like, "This is how James Earl Jones is going to arrive to the pearly gates," and I was like, "You are goddamn fucking right."
Absolutely.
This is the moment where he steps out of the limousine when he gets to New York, and he's got the tiger. He's got the dead tiger over his shoulder, and all the guys in the barbershop are like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Absolutely. Oh man, it's such a beautiful. He's a beautiful man. You never heard anybody say anything bad about him at all. It's hard to believe he's gone. It's sad to believe he's gone. But do you have any favorite other like roles he's played, or favorite quotes from him? Potentially,
mostly Mufasa, I would say. Mostly Mufasa, just because, like, name a moment that hits you harder as a child when you're just like watching Mufasa die.
Yeah,
that's how I felt hearing this news. I was just like, dude, no way. Like, he was one of these people that I was like, nah, James Earl Jones is gonna live forever.
You would think that, right? You would think
that. You'd think. But one thing I do want to point out is like how much like work he did with charities. Like you mentioned, he did a lot of work for like kids at Star, but he also did a lot for like the African Leukemia Trust, Habitat for Humanity. I've actually got notes up here. Yeah, African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, Bid to Beat AIDS, Habitat for Humanity, the Luke Nuhedo Foundation, not sure what that one's for, Make-A-Wish, Medical Alert Foundation, the Screen Actors Guild Foundation, and To Write Love on Her Arms, which is a very, very important one for me because it is one, and we are in Suicide Prevention Month, so that is the charity that deals with addiction, depression, self-harm, and suicide. So I didn't learn that about him until like we were doing research into the guy for the episode, but just like seeing that he had a hand in all these different causes was like, he's a person that really understood his position and gave back when he could. And I think that really says a lot about the man, James Earl Jones, as opposed to, well, not as opposed to, but like in addition to, he's a generational talent. There is never going to be another James Earl Jones, not even close.
No, you're absolutely
also
right.
A fantastic human being.
Yes. In every possible way. I want to throw out one of my favorite quotes, and it's not his, it's obviously a character, but one of the ones that got me was from Field of Dreams, his famous speech. You know, as a big baseball fan myself, I really got that on every level. That movie is phenomenal. The one constant through all the years has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers, been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game is a part of our past. It reminds us of all that once was good and what could be good again. What could be again? Sorry. That's a speech that stuck with me throughout all the years, and it always makes me feel positive. And like when I'm at lowest, or about things in life in general. And the other quote I remember does come from the Letterman Top 10 when we got to see James Earl Jones go, "What's up?" James Earl Jones, as far as I'm concerned, is he's legend, icon, one of the greatest that ever has been in show business and in humanity. Nothing but love for him and his family and for his millions of fans around the world, which I am included in for sure. And we are both included in that. Would not be the same. He's affected my life so much. This one hurt. Like I've had a lot of celebrity deaths recently as I get older. As I get older and older, like it started to be more and more. I'm really starting to face mortality myself a little bit. I'm like, God, all these people that I know and love. But sometimes you can kind of brush them off. Sometimes you're like, okay. This one hurt. This one was definitely a little soul crushing for me.
I think it's because like he's been around for so long, and he, like I said, he's such a generational talent. Like he's been in your life since you were a kid.
Yeah.
He's been in my life since I was a kid. He's been in my niece's life since she was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like we talk about Star Wars being like generational change, like for different generations. There are some people that are like that too. And I think James Earl Jones is one of them. Robin Williams as well. Robin Williams was one of them. Mm-hmm. There's just those certain people that touch your life no matter when you find them. And they always find their place in your soul, I think. And they always leave that little bit. And you don't even have to know them. This isn't like a parasocial relationship kind of thing.
No.
But like their work and just them in general, they leave that little bit with you. And then when they're gone, it's like you haven't lost that little part of you, but it's harder to find it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because that person's not with us anymore.
Great.
But you put on Field of Dreams, which I'm sure you're about to go do.
Absolutely. 100%.
And it's just like, there he is.
And of course, due to the deal he struck with Disney before he passed, we will get to hear James Earl Jones' voice recreated, at least in Star Wars, as Darth Vader. So Darth Vader will always be around for us, and that's something that's it's great. I will say, the greatest AI creations will never replace the man himself, but it is kind of a beautiful tribute to be able to say that's a character that's going to be around forever. So much love, much respect to James Earl Jones from Holy Snokes, from both of us, and I think on that note, we should probably end the episode before I start crying.
Hey, remember,
love James.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever gone. That's true. And I will actually leave out what the last thing James Earl Jones said at the commencement at Drew University. He said two things that stuck with me. He had he had a great speech throughout, very inspirational, talk about his past, talk about present, talk about the present and future, and all charities and work he did. But of course, the favorite reception he got from the crowd is when he quoted Star Wars twice. He said, if you do something, first thing he said, don't waste your education. Or like I said previously, don't make me destroy you. And of course, at the very end, he ended. And of course, the last thing he said, may the force be with you. So that is where we'll end it, my friend. Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on all social media at Matty Morna. You can find my band Morna on all streaming platforms. I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. Find me at Paul _ News you on Twitter. You can find me on this channel all over the place. 2 Minute White Dudes on Film. We got review with Lego. I go over the V franchise. I do one-offs. I'm doing one-offs with Chris Clarkson, talk about Billy Joel. And of course, Crown Jewels every week. I had a special Crown Jewels episode drop today because Queen made the announcement of the reissuing or the deluxe box set version of the first album.
I saw this. Yes, I saw this.
lot of good stuff for the remix. I heard the one song they actually released on streaming platforms everywhere. The Night Comes Down, the 2024 remix, and not just remaster, remix. They actually went back in and really went to town on it, which is good because that first album was always mixed very shittily due to the circumstances of the recording. They were basically stealing time from the studio for free, and they never really had a good opportunity to use their equipment. They were using the house equipment here and there. Roger hated the drum sounds always, and now it actually sounds like they originally presented it. I'm excited about it for sure. And some great bonus tracks are coming. Also, two tracks from a 1970 concert, one of the first Queen concerts ever, even pre John Deacon.
Wow.
On there. So I'm really interested.
I wonder where they found that.
They found some kind of closet somewhere, some archive tape somewhere. Who knows? But I wish we got the whole thing, but I'll even take one track or two tracks from it.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually watching a podcast, not right now as we speak, but they are ranking. It's the Hard Law podcast, and they're ranking. It's not every rock band, but like this in ranking all the rock and roll bands of all time.
Right.
And I haven't got to the bit where they've mentioned Queen, but I've seen that like David Bowie they've put in their S tier, and so nice. I'm like Queen better be in that S tier, otherwise I'm going to be tweeting very angrily.
Damn right, my friend. All right, if this is your first time here, that like, subscribe, all good stuff. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. You do get early versions of Crown Jewels and sometimes one-off, sometimes two white dudes. Usually not though, because like this we tend to record and set it out the same day. But review we do as well. But if you can't, I get it and totally understand it. That like I said, leave a comment, share it, help us fight the almighty algorithm, and stay positive. We love a positive Star Wars community, and we'll always be here for you. And we know you'll always be there for us. And as always, may the Force be with you. See you next time. Bye now.
May the Force be with you always.